Hey everyone, welcome. Do please let me know if you can hear and see me well, if everything works. I am very happy to be live again inside our group with a new series, Ask Me Divi. Okay, so just a super quick introduction. If we haven't met yet, my name is Ania Romańska, aka Divilover. For the past few years, I've been sharing my passion for web design in form of resources, various tutorials for WordPress and Divi users. You may also know me as the author of the Divi Toolbox plugin. But I've also been focused on teaching all I know about Divi, CSS, and web design in general inside my Divi Stylist Academy program. And that is sort of how I got the idea to create this new Q&A type event, Ask Me Divi, right here in our Facebook group. You see, many of our students inside our academy have access not only to multiple lessons, pre-recorded videos, but also we have plenty of live Q&A sessions, and these live sessions where I answer their questions proved to be very valuable and helpful. So I decided to offer something similar inside our group as a thank you for being a part of our little Divi community. I'm not sure how frequent this will be, but I wanted to make sure that each episode is focused on one specific topic, and today I'm answering all Divi beginner questions. So if you just recently found WordPress and Divi, or if you'd like to, brush up on the basics, this should be good. Okay, a few housekeeping notes before we start. If it's the first time you're joining me live, there is a link in the video description. Please click it to allow Ecamm, the software I'm using for live streaming. We are in a private group, so in order for me to see your name, just like I can see Marlene right here, you need to grant your permission, and you would only need to do it once for any future lives, so thank you. Okay, now if you are watching this on YouTube, it is a replay and I invite you to join the group to catch the next one live. I'll be sharing my screen to answer some of your questions, and I will try to monitor the comments here as we go, so if you have anything to add or have a question, please let me know. Again, the topic of today's episode is Divi for beginners. So first, let me welcome you, a mystery person from Ecuador. So that is what I see if you don't click the link that's in the description of the video somewhere. Hopefully it should be easy to find. Okay, so let me get to these questions, okay? Let's see, I have my questions. Hi Adela, you don't have enough of me, but it's great to see you here. Thank you for joining me. I am so nervous. I didn't expect it to be so, but yeah, it's going to be fun. So let's start because I did, okay, so I see a lot of students joining me today. Thanks, guys. You see, that kind of proves my point of how the Q&As were valuable, even though the previous editions of Divi Stylist Academy are already over. My students still don't have enough of me. I am very thankful that you are here, so that's lovely. And I did get quite a few questions for the form I've sent you all. And I am going to start with the ones that are on topic, like the basic beginner questions for Divi newbies. And if there's enough time, I will also try to answer all the others that I got. So starting with a question from Michelle. Michelle says, thanks, Marlene. So Michelle says that asks why there are so many navigation settings in the Divi theme options which don't seem to do anything. Okay, so let me, okay, too many tabs. I'm sure you know this. Okay, so let me share my screen. This is like a plain, newly created, almost empty Divi site. And a navigation you see here is automatically generated by Divi. So up until you decide to Hi Elvis, now I can see you. Thank you so much for joining me from Ecuador. That's like other side of the globe. Great to see you. Okay, so in our empty page, if we do not assign, oh yes, sorry, one moment. Let me just, I forgot about this thing. One moment. Okay. Oh, this should be better, right? So if you, the navigation you see here initially is the default Divi generated navigation until you go in your appearance menus. Sorry, I'm covering it. 1 second, let's fix that. Oh, that should be better. So under appearance menu, you can create a menu and assign it as the primary, and then it will override the default one. But if you do not do that, because the question was about Divi theme options, navigation settings right here, and we have a few tabs, pages, categories, and general settings. And basically, you see anytime I've already added 3 different pages and they show up here. So if you have more, you will see different pages, different categories. I only have the default, but basically these settings are to change how that default menu looks. Let's say I want to disable my style guide page. If I save the changes, go back here. So that is not like, I know that can be confusing because usually you would want to create your own menu. You will have like full control because here you can like change the order, whether it's by name or menu order, but it is kind of limiting while when you're working with appearance menus right here, you have full control. If you add a new menu, my menu, create menu, right? And then from here, you have your pages, your posts, and there would be more different types of pages to add here. If, for example, you have a store, you would see your product categories and so on. So it's very powerful to create that yourself. You can rearrange it. You can create sub-menus, right? So once you save that and assign it as your primary menu right here, that again save, that will replace, so here refresh, and that replaces the default navigation, and then the settings in Divi theme options navigation no longer apply except for one setting here in the general settings. So navigation, general settings, and here we have disable top tier drop down menu links. And that setting will affect your menu, even if it's your custom menu from the from WordPress, whether it's a menu module or default Divi navigation, because there is this distinction here as well. So this setting will basically oops, sorry, let's open. So here I used sample page as a parent for these two, and it's still a link, like it is a sample page. If you want to create a menu that the top menu item has sub-menus, but this one doesn't go anywhere, like you don't have any additional page to direct users here as the parent, then that setting, sorry, too many tabs, I told you. So then this setting, disabling top tier menu links, let's save that, and here refresh. Now, if I click here, nothing happens. So I'm already on sample page, but now it's no longer active, right? We could do similar thing with custom menu link. Let me just show you if you don't know what I mean. Here you can create custom links, basically direct users to any URL. And the thing that we just did with the submenus, you would usually use an empty link. So just a URL would be a simple hash symbol. And then your text would be parent or something, like it doesn't matter, but add to menu, and there it is, the link that's not clickable, and you would use this as the parent. It would basically work in a similar way, although I think, let's test it, because so like this, and in theme options I'm disabling it, and now I think clicking here doesn't do anything. But if the page is longer, so let me just open a test page right here, I think using the hash symbol will create that scroll to top. Okay, and let's see if that option would prevent that. I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't used that in a while, but let's refresh. Okay, and I'm like in the middle of the page, and now I'm clicking the parent, nothing happens. So that may be better. I know that that wasn't the question, but it is one helpful setting in your Divi theme options navigation tab. So Michelle, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, next question is a big one, and let's talk about that for a moment. Gosia is asking, what is the best way to optimize page speed? What plugin or maybe just Divi setting? And it's like such a broad subject, right? I could probably talk very long about all different things and setting that impact page speed. And you know, there is no magic pill. It's not like you can click something, enable something, or install a specific plugin that will make sure that your website loads super fast. There are good practices to follow, to remember, and that's basically all we can do, I think. And the main thing I think is the hosting. So having a good host is like the most important aspect, in my opinion. And you know, the stuff like optimizing your images, adding a caching plugin, and you asked what plugin. It doesn't really matter that much. I think there are a few like popular plugins, and any one you choose should work fine. Like for our website, we are on Lightspeed type server, so I'm using Lightspeed cache. If that is the server environment you're using too, maybe that would be a good option. If you're like Apache or Nginx, I'm not sure how to spell that, but different type of server may work better with different plugin. I know WP Rocket is a popular choice, WP Cache, like any caching plugin would be good to have, right? And then thinking about how your website is structured, adding optimized images only as big as they will actually be displayed, never bigger, right? Optimizing the images before uploading, like all sorts of different things. And there is like this wonderful you know, because you also asked about Divi specific settings. So with the last year's performance update, Divi made a huge improvements in terms of how everything gets loaded inside the theme. So I think most of so in the general performance, we have all these different settings, and I think it's best to keep all of them enabled, unless you know that you have a different solution that does the same or similar thing. Like for example, if you let's say, although which one would be a good example? If you're deferring Gutenberg block CSS, if you have a caching plugin that does deferring style sheets for you, maybe disabling it here and allowing the plugin to handle it would be a better choice. But basically all of these are here for us to improve our loading times in some way or another. Critical CSS, that one is interesting, and it's good to know that Divi calculates this automatically for us, but it's based on sections. So if you have a section that uses, because it calculates how much, what's the above default, what we see before user needs to scroll, right? And then loads that CSS separately sooner for the content to load, and loads the rest of the CSS for the following sections after that. Now to calculate what is above the fold, Divi uses sections. So if you have longer section that is visible both above the fold and also as you scroll down, like very tall section, consider separating it in multiple sections so that the one that's actually above the fold is Divi will pick up on it and leave the CSS for the next following section to be loaded a bit later. Elegant Themes they have like so many wonderful articles on the blog, and I don't have to tell you this, I'm sure you know that. And there is this ultimate guide to Divi speed optimization, and there's like a lot, like they explain all the performance settings in this new well, not so new anymore, but in this update, and also give you things to you can do to optimize, and the things that you want to look into when you try to optimizing your page for mobile. And there's also a great article linked in this one as well, how to optimizing Divi specifically. So it also talks about the CSS, critical CSS I mentioned, but it has also some great advice on how to think about your page while you build it. Not only worry about page speed after you're done, but thinking about it as you go, like limiting your animations. That is a huge speed time, loading time saver, I think. Basically, not using too many different modules, maybe limiting yourself to certain types of modules only, so that the code that's behind different type of module doesn't need to load at all, because with Divi it's all dynamic. They won't load anything you're not using, so consider using less things if speed is important aspect. I know, I'm sorry, I know that probably is not answering your question, but it is kind of ongoing work in progress, something that we have to think about all the time, and there's no like simple switch that will load our website fast. Okay, another question. Two actually very similar, so I think I will look into both. Ximo, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but Ximo sent me a message and says, I often find myself changing the font sizes, images, or module sizes in order to get similar proportions and harmonic design between desktop, tablet, and phone views. And Patrick has a similar comment. I love Divi, use it on all my sites. However, formatting a mobile layout leads to a lot of frustration, and I find the results are variable. Is there an easier way of getting consistent results from web to mobile? And if so, what would you suggest? And back to Ximo, I can see that there are different units, pixels and percentages, and I'm not sure what are the differences between them. Is there a way to get similar and proportional layouts without having to surf on the 3 different views each time I put a new module? So that is kind of yes and no. Okay, yes, Scott, that's actually a great point. So let me just go back real quick. We have like a tiny delay. Back to page speed before I go and talk a little about optimizing for mobile. But yes, the Squash app, Scott says that optimizing images as WebP, like this new format that's super lightweight. I started to use it recently myself as well, and the Squash app, we'll leave a link in the comments somewhere. That is a great tool to have that images ready before you upload them. So definitely also, yes, good point. I forgot to mention that it's not just like tiny PNG anymore, considering different image type. Is also worth considering, I guess. Okay, Divi mobile optimization. So first, just to explain difference between units, we have 2 types of units in CSS. Well, in Divi WordPress, basically in web design, in CSS, we can use absolute and relative units. Pixel is an absolute unit. 10 pixel is 10 pixel and it always will be 10 pixels. It will look like 10 pixels, but relative units like percentages, ems, they will be relative to, for example, ems will be relative to the font size. Percentages are relative to the width of the parent container. So that's something to keep in mind, because it may seem like, for example, if you have a box and you add 10% padding inside that box, you may think that it would be 10% of the height of your content, like because you're working in this axis, but it's actually 10% of the width. So if it's wide, that 10% can look like the full content. Or basically, I would leave percentages for anything that's on the x-axis. So width, like rows by default, they have 80% width, but then with max width, you can use pixels, because setting max width in pixels means it will limit its size to specific pixel value, and then as the screen gets smaller, it won't spill out, causing your page to scroll to the side as if it would if you set the width in pixel values. But as the screen gets smaller, the percentages will start to take place. So that's how row works. Row would be 80% wide, but the row width is limited to 1080, I think, by default. So using percentages in along with pixels works well. You have to be mindful when using pixels. Be careful of setting any margins in pixel values, like left-right margins, moving something with transitions. Like basically, let me just open Divi right here. So anytime, let's go to that test page. Let me show you what I mean. If you enable the builder, anytime you're trying to move something using the builder controls, that can that will change some pixel value, which may not look good on mobiles. Okay, so just my few cents on how I approach designing for mobile, how to not, what to do to not have to go to every module every time, changing the values for all different devices. The answer is simple. It's presets. I think using presets helps with that a lot, because you only would go, because there is no unit that you can use that will make sure your content looks good across all screen sizes. It doesn't work this way. You would always need to adjust the values for Divi breakpoints, which are pixel based, right? So it's not like Divi uses fluid breakpoints. It switches to tablet at 980 pixels and exactly that. So you do want to make sure that you adjust your units. By units, I mean design settings in WordPress, in Divi settings, like, button settings, text module settings, and all. Adjust each setting for each device, but you don't have to do that every time with every module, because okay, so let me show you my here I have that is a style guide I created, and it is something, a starter point for any website. I would recommend to start with something like that, where you set your colors, you just visually display them, and then for the text module settings, here I've went in the design settings, and every heading level is adjusted. The font size for desktop, tablet, and phone is changed accordingly, so that I know that this heading will look good, and the text body is, the pixel values are set. And then if you create a new preset with that your pre-styled text module with all the settings, like you went to each element, each heading level, the fonts, the line height, changed the text size for desktop, then tablet and phones as well, then you can save that as your new preset. So either update preset with current styles or create new preset, but let's see, let's use this. So update preset with current style, it's this icon right here, and that will update default text preset. So let's say yes, this is just a test site, so that's fine. And now if I add a new module, new text module, it will already use my styling, right? So text, actually I didn't save that preset, sorry. I think I clicked. Okay, let's go back here. Here's my text module. Apply styles to active preset. Yes. Okay. New text module. Do I have? Okay, let's add a heading. I think okay, so there's no body settings on my preset, I think, but the headings are correct. Anyway, you would want to make sure all the design stylings, I just imported, I haven't looked into it, so it's a bad example probably, but you would want to make sure that all the stylings are set, and then anytime you add a new module, it will use these settings, so there's no need to go and adjust that font style sizes again and again. I think here text body text font is default, and I think here I didn't change the yeah, it's also default, so it's not this one. Anyway, yeah, so hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. I know it was a bad example. Let's try with button. Maybe that will, if I add a new button, by default it looks like this. But I already have a styled button that uses different, let's say, different padding for tablet phones and desktop, different font size, right? So I adjusted it for all screen sizes, and now I can create new preset. So my button, my main button, okay? And assign it as a default. And now every button, yes. You see, it already changed this one, because anytime I will add a new button right now, it will use that preset. I could create a second preset style from that styling and from this one, and then just choose which one I want to use every time I'm adding a new content. And that applies to buttons, text modules mainly, and blurbs, I guess. The modules, any modules that you are going to use over and over again. Hi Deshna, thank you for joining me. Web Zauberin, if you choose to work with preset style sheet, can we then make local fonts, maybe local fonts with plugin? Actually, I have a question. So just going back, just finishing my thought I will get to the local fonts in a moment. Creating presets basically saves you time. It is a bit more work up front. You have to go into all these design settings just to set things, and it can be things like spacing, like padding top on all your sections. Maybe on desktop it's this much, on tablet it gets smaller, and on phone there's less padding. You can define your own values, assign presets to just about anything, and then it would be so much easier and nicer experience for you to work on creating your page. And just one last very important thing, when working with a mobile adjustment, you have to remember, because I promise that this is beginner friendly, and I've seen this mistake being made by beginners many times. So you have the preview here for desktop, tablet, and phone, right? But remember, it's just a preview. So if I, for example, that is probably, let's say I will add more padding like this, or actually it adjusts my height. Basically, I wouldn't advise designing anything here by dragging things if you're not 100% sure what this dragging will create inside your module settings. So here, for example, I think, I'm not sure what I've just added, margin or padding, but anyway, it looks like I'm editing phone version, but I've added that space at the bottom, I think it's margin, to all screen sizes, not just mobile. So to adjust mobile, we have to, yes, it was bottom padding, not margin. So to change padding on mobile and only on mobile, you always need to go to the thing that you want to edit. Settings, enable mobile options, go to the phone tab, and then add your values. There's no way around it. And that's why presets are helpful. This is just a preview. Consider this a preview and you'll be safe. There will be no like, I optimized for mobile and then my desktop version site broke and things like that. So keep in mind that if you are intentional and actually thinking of what you're editing instead of just dragging and dropping. I know Divi advertises itself as the visual builder, that you don't have to touch anything and you can just drag things around, but it usually creates unexpected results, especially as you resize your, on different screen widths. So be mindful of what you're doing. If you want to edit something on mobile, do that inside the settings. There's no way around it. Otherwise, your change will affect all screen sizes. Okay, so if we, because we started, there was a comment here about local fonts, and I have a question from Cornelia. How do I upload fonts locally to Divi in WOV and WOV2 format, and what is the best platform to get the fonts from? I know this is probably not so beginner, not a question you would want to ask just as the first thing you ask when you start with Divi, but yes, since it is interesting, because if I were to upload, as you know, we can go into text, text font, upload, and here supported file formats are TTF and OTF. We cannot by default upload WOV and WOV2 right here, which are the lightweight version of fonts. So WOV is like PNG to TIFF, the image type. So you would want to use WOVs, but Divi by default doesn't allow it. There is a wonderful code snippet shared. I have that opened here on Alex Hooley website. He shares a snippet that you need to add to your functions PHP. That's what I meant by not so beginner. But it's a PHP snippet. So either functions PHP or a snippets plugin. I have a tutorial on where to add custom code, so it shouldn't be a problem. And once that is added in your child theme, for example, then when you select font files, you have supported file formats WOV and WOV2, so you can upload WOV fonts directly to the inside the builder, and then it will load that lightweight font version. So that's step one. And the second part, because where do you get the WOV file format from? And there is this awesome Google Web Fonts Helper site, which lists all the Google fonts. But on Google, if you click to download any font family, you would get TTF or OTF, and then you would need to use some font file converter. I'm sure there's many that types of converters online, but here you also have all the Google fonts, and you can just choose one, download it, and it will download EOT, TTF, SVG, WOF, and WOF2. So this would be one of the file formats you get from the sites with that Google font, and then you just can upload it, and this way you will be using nice Google fonts, but serving them locally from your own server instead of connecting with Google. So hopefully that's helpful. A question, just going back to my Divi beginner question I have on my list. Anton asked me and shared a video of a website that navigation changes. No problem, Cornelia. Thank you for joining me live. I'm glad to see you here. Okay, moving on. Anton shared a website that changes there is a fixed navigation, and the background behind that navigation changes from transparent to colorful navigation. And the question is, when you scroll, it should be colored, transparent initially. How is it possible with Divi? So just to quickly show you, let's exit the builder here. So first, if you are uses default Divi navigation. So under, let me just move myself, maybe here, I'm not sure. Okay, so here under theme customizer, that's where you would edit your default Divi navigation, header and navigation. And once you set your primary menu bar background color, sorry, maybe this, oh, okay, background color, if you set this to transparent, actually don't trust the preview here, we will save that and refresh the page. So background color for the primary menu bar is transparent, and then your fixed navigation settings, background color, let's use, I don't know, purple one. So purple here, transparent here, but like I said, don't trust the preview. Let's publish the changes. And now if I go out of the theme customizer, you will see that my navigation is on top of the section. So basically Divi will do that for you automatically. Anytime you set the background color to transparent color for the primary menu bar, it will move the content underneath the default navigation below your navigation. Now the question is how we do that if we are using the theme builder, right? Because that's the default navigation, and there's no easy answer, I'm afraid, but there is one thing that works quick with a full width menu I want to show you. So in the Divi theme builder, you can create your different templates for different type of pages, or global templates. So here is the default global template, but you can also create new templates for various different, combination of different, what's the word? Well, basically for different types of pages, okay? And let's say I want to do a custom template for my test page, and I can build a custom header, okay? Just to show you real quick, I will show you two things actually. First, instead of standard section, let's add a full width section with full width menu. Okay, so that menu background color should be transparent, and in the advanced scroll effects, let's stick it to top, and then going background, now we have that icon that changes it for when it's sticky. Now it's purple. Hi guys, I don't know who you are because of the Facebook privacy settings. I am well, thank you. I hope you're well too. There is a link in the video description if you can grant your permissions to Ecam, the software I'm using for live streaming. I'll be able to see your lovely faces and your names. That would be awesome. So I enabled scroll effects for the full width menu module. Let me remove that section here, and the section itself, let me just check what did I do. Background, initial background color is transparent, and on sticky, let's make it purple. Okay. Hi Ravel, it's great to see you. Oh, it's so nice to see so many of my lovely students joining me. I hope you're not the only ones because you already know all these things. I hope there's more of you lovely Divi lovers here with me. Okay, so sticky, purple, default, transparent. Saving that, and now the section itself for the navigation to overlap your website content, we want this to be fixed. So advanced, position, fixed. In the middle, I don't think it makes, it doesn't make any difference as long as it's full width anyway. And you want to adjust the Z index so that it's on top of all the rest of the page, right? So let's go 9 for the Z index. Let's save that. I know that you don't see much right now. Hi Randy, thank you. Hi to Florida from Poland. Okay, my header is here. I'm saving changes, and that should affect the test page itself only. Let's open that page. Where are you? Okay, it's not here. Let's go here. Test page. Let's refresh. Let's actually, let me open that inside an incognito mode. Okay, the fixed settings didn't seem to work. Let's actually, we can, sorry, here. Let's enable the visual builder. Bear with me, okay? I just want to, I know it's not going to be ideal anyway, and my recommendation would be to go with some custom code. There's no like super straightforward way to do that, but I think with here, section, oh yeah, the section has to be the background color. We didn't remove the default background, which is white, I think. So yeah, transparent background settings. Now the section is already fixed. You see, if I change the position from fixed to relative, it would be on top. But once it's fixed, it's, well, it would be on top, meaning over it. Now it's on top, on top. Okay, and now I think that should do it. So let me refresh that incognito version. Okay, so here's my page, and then as I scroll, it changes, and the header here was built with the theme builder. It's not so easy with default section and default row. There is some custom code involved, so I do not want to get into this now, as I wanted to make this beginner friendly. I don't want to scare you with too much custom code. Okay, but there is a few more questions, and I promise that the questions I got before will get answered. So Anton, I hope this is somehow helpful. Now I have a website sent by Tilak, that's how I would read your name. Hopefully that's correct. Let me just, yes, it's here. I hope you can advise a bit on some alignment I'm trying to do on a code module. And that is actually interesting. Again, not so Divi beginner thing, but it also is important to realize that when you are using iframes, because this is, if we right, oh, we cannot right click, Control Shift I, Command, okay, let's do like this, inspect, I don't remember the shorthand, but okay, now we enabled, sorry, okay, now close, not now, never. Okay, just to show you, Tilak is using a code module, but what's inside the code module? Inside a code module, we have an iframe, and it could be an iframe placed like this with all the iframe code, or it could be a script tag that generates that iframe for us dynamically. Either way, you ended up with an iframe inside your code module. And the thing about iframe is that it's basically a separate website that you just preview, like you're just opening a window to view a different site on your own site. So there is no like CSS, nothing we can do to modify any content inside that page, because it's basically a separate page. Okay, that is why, because you asked how to center the table horizontally. There is no way to center things inside, because that whole thing, that white part is your table. So the only way to center it is to adjust the sizing, because right now your iframe size width is set to 100%, but the actual content inside, if you look at that column, this is 200. Like if I hover here with this, you see it's 242 pixels. It shows like right here in the little pop-up below. So 242 is the actual width of the inner content inside your iframe. So if you would change that iframe width from 100%, and right now I'm just editing HTML, so editing the content that is in your code module, but if we put 250, let's say, pixels instead of 100%, sorry, that didn't work. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one, not this one. I wanted to edit this one. Here, 250 pixels. Okay, now it is only as wide as the inner content. So basically either limiting its width this way or limiting the width of the module itself, something like that. Fill the empty space on the sides with a color. Again, not possible. You can only, like if this, that 250 doesn't work well here, but it would be something different. 100% is this, but that is 345 wide. That's what the little tooltip says when I hover over it. So here again, limiting either the code module itself. So what if we would set max width 345 pixels, something like that, right? And now it shows the content, and you have the background, which is your section basically. This is all to say that, sorry, you cannot edit the inner part of iframes with CSS. We talked about fonts. There is Manoy is asking, please share with me a video of the making of the header with the hover effect menu. So hover effects on the menu, I actually have a tutorial about that. So I've created that sample different hover styles with, you can copy and paste the CSS snippets, and I also recorded like a full video explaining the CSS step by step, what we did exactly to achieve that. So I'm not going to do it again. I hope that this will be helpful. Now, event calendar question from Christine. I want to transfer to using Timely calendar free version. I am not sure how to install it. The instructions I have found are old and much has happened. I also don't know how to code and would like some simple instructions to install Timely calendar to our site. Okay, so that is very specific request, but I was able to quickly find that for you. Let me just open a page. Okay, so this is Timely. I've set up a free account here on that software. It basically allows you to create different events, apparently. And here, if you click on the embed code, Christine, you would see this. And if you enter your URL, just like I did for my demo page, you will be able to copy a JavaScript snippet. So I copied that snippet, and here inside my row there is a code module. Let's actually access that this way. Here I have a code module, and I paste that script right inside my code module here, and now inside my Divi page there is my events calendar. So it's basically a copy and paste, and to edit the appearance here you can only use the settings here from that software, but here you insert a script, and similarly to what I just showed you with TILAC issue, that basically creates that, let's see, here it is, there is a div with an iframe inside. Okay, so again, that is an iframe that loads the content from that software. We won't be able to edit that with CSS. You can just use it as is, using the script they provided inside the code module. That's the best way to insert scripts like that. Mohammed, a question about Divi child themes. If I design child themes to sell, how can I make a demo out of it, and how can I prepare the one-click demo import zip file, and how does it work, please? So this is all pretty complex, I would say. Demo page is just a standard website you would design for the website you would want your child theme users to copy, right? So there's nothing extra specific about it. The way our child themes are built, the one-click demo import is based on I'm not going to go into details, just to give you some pointers so that you can look further. TGM plugin activation is a plugin that allows you to perform different functions based on while someone is trying to install a theme or a plugin. So that's what we're doing when someone is installing our child theme. We make sure that they have this plugin and this plugin, or that this is like basically all the things that should happen when the activation of the theme happens can be set in your child theme functions PHP file. That's the general gist of how it works, but you can make it much easier for yourself than this. There are two plugins. One plugin you can get access to by joining Divi community at divicommunity.com. Plugin is called Easy Demo Import, and here you would get access to it if you join the community and make a small donation, so it's not an expensive option. And then that plugin allows you to, basically you would install it on your demo page and it will create that export file for you, as simple as that. And another option, SitePresser, is also a premium plugin that does that. You would install it on your demo page and it will create that installable zip for you. So these are the only options I know how to go about working with child themes for sale. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay guys, so we're close to an hour, but I did see a few questions in the chat. I don't want to miss anything because that's all I had on my list. I know it kind of didn't end up being so beginner friendly, I guess, but I hope it was kind of fun and helpful. I would love to do it again in the future, so if you have any thoughts or suggestions, I am all ears. But first let me make sure I didn't miss anything. email opt-in. Email opt-in for freebie and newsletter active campaign with Divi, or better with a plugin like WP Forms? Any idea for a flip or work it with Divi module very well? Okay, I know what you mean. You're asking if Divi opt-in module is okay to connect with Active Campaign. That depends. Like for me, I'm not using Active Campaign but GetResponse, and I found Divi email opt-in was a bit limiting. And it wasn't really Divi fault. It was like the fault was on the GetResponse side. I didn't have a way to check which form is it, and then how to like make the connections in my software. But if you can with Active Campaign, then Divi email opt-in is a good module. There's nothing wrong with it, but my gut says that it would be best to work, but not with a separate plugin, or you don't need any free plugin. I think the Active Campaign will give you a code that you can insert, just like we did for that timely, for example. Basically a little snippet that will generate theirs form, which you can have full control over what happens if someone fills that form, and so on. So I'm sure there's a lot of options inside Active Campaign for creating forms and then embedding these forms on your site. So I would suggest doing so if email opt-in is not enough, but maybe it would be good enough. So yeah, that's not a bad option at all. I use Active Campaign, forms with added CSS. Divi opt-in works well. However, when contact already exists in the list and you want to update fields and or tags, then Divi opt-in is not updating those. So that is what I said, that there may be some limitations. You would need to check if it works well for you or not. But yeah, I think if it's okay, then it's good. The opt-in form would be email opt-in module would be okay. But yeah, I think it was a similar issue for GetResponse. I wanted to, for my free resources, like when I share a free layout, if someone is already on my list, I want them to go directly to the download page. And it wasn't possible, so I am using theirs form. I'm not using any form plugin specifically, just a form generated by my email service marketing provider GetResponse, but it would work the same for Active Campaign. Okay, so thank you all for joining me. I don't see any questions. I'm not sure if do let me know what you think, if it's something that we should do more often. I'm thinking maybe if we would have a theme, like questions about specific topic, it would work better. Maybe something about blog or headings, headers. Maybe you would want to see more advanced customizations and not just not just beginner stuff, or maybe more beginner stuff. Anyway, I would as I said, I'm all ears, so I am here to help, and I do enjoy these live meetings. Hopefully I will get less and less nervous in as we go. It's much easier inside the Stylist Academy because there's less of us and it's less stressful. So it was a challenge for me. I hope I did well. I see a lot of Facebook users, so just remember that I will share a link that you can click and allow me to see your name and face by granting your permissions to Ecam software. And you would only need to click it once, and every time I have a new live inside our group, that would work. Yes, do get in touch. We will figure out the new topic for the second episode. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but hopefully soon. And send me your questions, and I am happy to do it again. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and see you again soon. Thank you, guys, for joining me. Thanks, Ravel, Adela, Web Zauberin, which is not your name, but thank you for joining me as well. Bye for now.